welcome to our attendees, and just going over a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. So welcome, I am Lori Markland. I am the director of the Maryland AT program. And with us, we have James Whitney. He is our AT clinician. He's an occupational therapist, and he is our in-house expert on all things assistive technology. So he is going to be hosting our webinar today and sharing a lot of really good information. Just a couple of quick things. If you want to turn on captions, you can click on the three little dots at the bottom of your Zoom screen where it says more, and you can click on the option for show subtitle. That should show you your captions while you are participating in today's session. In addition, if you have any questions during our session today, please feel free to hold them to the end, or you can add them into the Q&A section. There is a button at the bottom of your Zoom screen for Q&A. So you can add your questions there. And then at the end of the session, we'll go ahead and read off all those questions and address them in order. But we're really excited to have James here with us today. This is a brand new series. We've never done anything like this before. And it's really about assistive technology in the workplace for seniors. And oftentimes there's not a huge differentiation between AT for seniors, AT for individuals with disabilities, AT in general as it applies in the workplace. But certainly there are things to take into consideration as we age in the workplace. And so James is with us. He's put together a really comprehensive session on some of the laws and ideas around, encouraging and supporting individuals as they're aging in the workplace. Then we're also going to look pretty closely at different types of assistive technology that can help support folks, regardless of what sort of limitations you might be experiencing. So with that, I'm going to turn my screen off and I'm going to hand it over to James, and he is going to get us started with today's webinar.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Lori. And hello, everyone. It's good to be here. I'm going to share my screen for the PowerPoint. Share some, and we'll get started here. All right. So this PowerPoint presentation today is focusing on assistive technology for seniors in the workplace and how to adapt and overcome barriers to successful employment with aging. Sorry, I'm trying to hide a couple things on my screen so I can see better. Alrighty, so let's just dive right in. So our objectives today are going to be things like defining terms like assistive technology and like what that really means, and disability, ageism, and reasonable accommodations, and help set the stage for the rest of the presentation, and also help become familiar with legislation that's in place to help protect the rights of seniors with and without disabilities, and know what disabilities the aging population may face and kind of what those look like. And then I'm going to dive into the meat and potatoes about the actual AT that can be utilized to promote successful employment and what's kind of out there and kind of different variations of those devices. And then I'll leave it open to a conclusion and a short discussion. And then I can take Q&A and all that good stuff. So just to get us rolling here, a little bit about me as your speaker today. I am James Whitney. I'm from the Eastern Shore of Maryland, Salisbury specifically. I graduated from Salisbury College with a bachelor's degree in psychology and a minor in sociology. So that was my background going into grad school. And then I did apply for occupational therapy school and got into VCU for their doctoral program. And then I began working as a AT clinician here at MDTAP. And it's been a great fit. I love empowering individuals to increase their quality of life by becoming more independent and successful in engaging in their meaningful activities, or occupations as we call them. And oftentimes that's through the use of certain AT and devices. So OT and assistive technology very often go hand in hand to increase people's quality of life and a participation in their daily lives. So it was a great fit for me. Super happy to be here. And we're going to just dive right in. So I do have a few surveys today that we're going to kind of put in throughout the presentation. And Lori's going to help me set one up that you can actually interact with it and click on an answer. So I'm going to let Lori throw that up there. There we go. So I'm going to give you guys maybe 30 seconds, and then you can click your answer and we will go from there.
Yep, and I will launch the results of this in just a moment.
Okay, great. Just kind of see where everyone's at with a few different questions.
So here's our first set of results.
Awesome. So almost 50-50 split, about yes and no there. So I'm going to close this out. So great. So it's always good to know kind of like who's in our participant group and just kind of gauge where everyone's at with background knowledge on certain things. And okay, there we go. So yeah, I'm just going to do a brief, just quick overview of kind of what we do and who we are. And so we are the Maryland AT program, and what we do is provide statewide access to assistive technology, or AT, through equipment demonstrations, loans, reuse, financing, and training. So we are part of the AT Act, and our program is the only one in Maryland that's the AT Act program. And every state has one that's going to look a little bit like us. They might be slightly different in certain things that they do and don't do, but we're all there for a similar purpose of providing more access to AT. And just real quick, this is a flow chart of kind of what that looks like. So you can reach out to us or me specifically by phone call, email, or our online form. Yeah, link is right there, and that'll help you get started. I can find out kind of what your inquiry is, and we can go from there. So I can offer you direct assistance if it's in our scope of practice, and if it's not in our scope of practice, I can refer you to another source, or me or my colleagues who could all help refer you to the right place to go to kind of help you find that the answer to your question, or help point you in the right direction. And then if it is in our scope of practice and you are looking for AT knowledge or services, then I can help conduct a AT consultation. And that can be virtual on Zoom, or it's starting to open up again as far as Maryland and with the vaccines and everything being more available, we are starting to open up again. So I may be able to have people come in for consultations, but that's just kind of on a case-by-case basis. But I can do a consultation and sit down with you. I can talk more about what you're having struggles with and kind of what your needs are, and then and I'll go from there. And then through that conversation, I can help demonstrate certain AT devices, and I can show you kind of how they work and what to expect while using them, and just do an overall demonstration of maybe a couple different devices. And if all parties agree, and it could be me and the actual individual who has a disability, it could be their mom or dad or caregiver or a healthcare professional, whoever it is, if all parties that are a part of that consult, if we agree that's a great device to try, I would love to move forward with that, then I can send that out to you for a 30-day loan. And that gives you a chance to try the device out in your home context, or maybe your school setting or a work, and actually have your hands on it, actually use it and see if it works for you, to kind of help guide you to just a good decision-making as far as a purchase goes. Because oftentimes people buy maybe an AT device that was pretty expensive, and then it doesn't really work the way I thought it works. So like we're here to help kind of eliminate that. And also, if you have a device already and maybe it's getting repaired, it's in the shop, then I can give you a loaner and kind of help hold you over. So like there's a few different reasons there someone might reach out to us, and that we are here to help people have access to AT and try things out. And it doesn't have to be a one and done. I can send you something. If you don't like it, send it back, and then I could try something else with you. So that's in a nutshell kind of how we work. And then if you do come to me and say, man, that was great, how can I buy this? Then I can help do like price comparison shopping. I can help you find a vendor, and I can help you hopefully find discounts and things to make it more affordable. So that's just very quick, just kind of what I do and like what we do as a program and organization. And so if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them later on. And you can always reach out to me by email and phone call, and I'll supply that information later. But either way, let's dive right in. So why are we here for the AT at Work for Seniors PowerPoint today? And so a few reasons, really. So basically, a study in 2013 came out, and they had projected that the number of Americans over the age of 65 is going to double from 2010 to 2050. So about 40.2 million to 88.5 million as the baby boomers and so forth are all getting older, that it's going to be a larger number of people who are aging in our country. And why is that important? Well, this whole thing's about working with disabilities as you're aging. So individuals with disabilities or impairments can be productive and valuable employees. And our aging adults who choose to work are legally allowed to do so with or without the use of reasonable accommodations. And that's bolded because I will get into that and describe kind of what that means. And one or two disabilities or impairments does not negate the multiple skills an individual has. And it's not easy for employers to find good workers and have someone who's like reliable. So employers may not even know about these laws that I will get into, that you are entitled to a reasonable accommodation that help facilitate your ability to complete your job. And maybe each employer should just needs to know what you need in order to get started there. Okay, so a few more points here is that older workers remain a vital segment of today's workforce. Some individuals have retired from maybe one form of work and career, and they've chosen to switch that career or work part-time somewhere to earn extra money and maintain insurance benefits. Maybe they just want to keep active, learn new skills, or just socialize. So there's multiple reasons someone might want to work well into their age. And with the aging of the baby boomer generation, the average age for workers will increase, and the likelihood that more employees will be managing a disability also increases. And also, please keep in mind as I go through here, aging by itself is not an impairment, but a person who has a medical condition such as hearing loss or osteoporosis or arthritis or vision loss that is often associated with age, that could be a impairment. So on the basis of that medical condition, as far as just having vision loss or hearing loss. So aging isn't an impairment at all. So if that impairment substantially limits a major life activity, that person may be entitled to accommodations under the ADA. The ADA is Americans with Disabilities Act. So here's a quote, is that for people without disabilities, technology makes things easier. And for people with disabilities, technology makes things possible. And that's just a great quote. And it definitely holds true for a lot of us. So what is assistive technology? And I'm getting a flashing thing saying I have unstable internet. So if I ever go out, just Lori or someone, just let me know that it's going out on me, but hopefully that's not going to be an issue today.
No problem. You're good so far.
Okay. So anyway, what is AT? So it comes in two forms of services and also devices. And I'm going to talk about the former today, which is devices here listed. And then services will actually be in a subsequent presentation that is 2 weeks from today. So I will go into different services and resources that are out there that will help someone acquire and select and use AT devices. But today is about devices, and that is any item or piece of equipment or product system, whether acquired commercially, modified, or customized, that is used to increase, maintain, or improve the functional capabilities of individuals with disabilities. So it takes a lot of different shapes and sizes there. And a disability under the ADA is a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities, like caring for oneself or performing manual tasks, seeing, hearing, eating, sleeping, walking, standing, lifting, bending, speaking, breathing, learning, reading, concentrating, thinking, communicating, and working. So that's a mouthful. So any of those major life activities, there's lots of them. And also the operation of a major bodily functions, including but not limited to functions of the immune system, normal cell growth, digestive, bowel, bladder, and also neurological, brain, and respiratory, circulatory, endocrine, and also reproductive functions. So a disability can look like a lot of different things. And they're not always visible. It could impact something else that you cannot see, like cognitive tasks or anything like that. So just real quick, I want to just kind of go over ageism and kind of what is it, and I'll like let's talk about it really quick. So it is prejudice or discrimination on the grounds of a person's age. So examples could be losing a job because of your age, or not getting hired because the employer wanted a younger looking person to do the job, or you were fired because your boss wanted to keep younger workers who are paid less. So that might look like ageism. And a couple studies here also talk about some of the negative effects of ageism. And negative psychological effects of ageism could look like older adults can internalize ageist beliefs and begin to believe and behave as though they are no longer independent, healthy, and vibrant adults. So it's kind of that self-fulfilling prophecy of just if someone is told, here's what you are and here's what everyone sees you as, then they start to kind of believe it and internalize it and act that way. And also older adults exposed to negative age stereotypes in laboratory studies demonstrated worse memory, handwriting, and self-confidence, and have appeared to age, quote unquote, instantly and moving in a stereotypical older manner. So just a couple psychological effects. And real quick, there's a couple of also negative physiological health consequences of ageism and being treated that way, is that the research suggests that ageism may be associated with short and long-term physiological health consequences, like there's been documented heightened cardiovascular stress responses among older adults subliminally exposed to negative stereotypes of aging compared to those exposed to positive stereotypes. And then with those cardiovascular stress responses, that could elevate blood pressure, and that can lead to other chronic health conditions like heart disease, stroke, kidney disease, obesity, and diabetes. So there are negative effects physically and mentally for ageism. And it's just good to be aware of those kind of things. Okay, so I'm going to move forward and kind of pivot gears here, and we're going to talk about legislation. So there's a couple different acts that have been put out. So the first one I'm going to dive into is the Age Discrimination in Employment Act of 1967. And that's the ADEA is the acronym that might come up later. And according to this act, it is unlawful for an employer to do three things. One is fail or refuse to hire or to discharge any individual or otherwise discriminate against any individual with respect to his compensation, terms, conditions, or privileges of employment because of such an individual's age. Number two is to limit or segregate or classify his employees in any way which would deprive or tend to deprive any individual of employment opportunities or otherwise adversely affect his status as an employee because of such an individual's age. Or number three, to reduce the wage rate of any employee in order to comply with this chapter. So that's the ADEA. And then you take that and couple it with the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990. This act protects the rights of individuals with disabilities in employment, access to state and local government services, places of public accommodation, transportation, and other important areas of American life. This has three different titles. So Title I applies to employment, and that's what we're going to focus on here today. But there are also two other titles that also get into the state and local government services and programs and places of public accommodations. So Title I is what we're going to focus on, is the employment. And that prohibits private employers, state and local governments, employment agencies, and labor unions from, and that's discriminating against qualified individuals with disabilities in job application procedures, hiring, firing, advancement, compensation, job training, and other terms, conditions, and privileges of employment. And the ADA covers employers with 15 or more employees. So there is a caveat there that is written in the text, is that employers with 15 or more employees is what the ADA covers. So small businesses may not have the same legislation in effect, but this was read right out of the ada.gov. It's the source I got from this. And that also includes state and local governments. It also applies to employment agencies and to labor organizations. So just in short, just kind of all of that is that the ADA, it does protect you from all kinds of discrimination in all employment practices, including if you're applying for a job and you need some kind of accommodation for the application and interview. Maybe you need some ASL and like an ASL interpreter, or maybe you need something else. that should be accommodated and given to you in order for you to apply and have the interview process, as far as hiring and also firing, training, pay, promotions, benefits, and leave. So this protects you from any kind of discrimination against those types of things in employment. And you also have the right to be free from harassment because of your disability. And an employer may not fire or discipline you for asserting your rights under the ADA. And you have the right to request a reasonable accommodation for the hiring process and on the job. And what constitutes a reasonable accommodation? So this is very important. So it's any change or adjustment to a job, the work environment, or the way things usually are done that would allow you to apply for a job or perform job functions or enjoy equal access to benefits available to other individuals in the workplace. There are many types of things that may help people with disabilities work successfully. Accommodations are sometimes referred to as productivity enhancers, and reasonable accommodations should not be viewed as special treatment. They often benefit all employees. And that is from the ADA.gov as well. So that's directly taken from there as what they define a reasonable accommodation as. And I was on Cornell Law's website, and they kind of went in a little bit more on, so for the term reasonable accommodation may include making existing facilities used by employees readily accessible to and usable by individuals with disabilities, and job restructuring, part-time or modified work schedules, or a reassignment to a vacant position, acquisition or modification of equipment or devices, bold, underline, italicize, because that's important for us today, and appropriate adjustment or modifications of examinations, training materials or policies. So if someone needs Braille, like training materials, that should be provided for them, and the provision of qualified readers or interpreters and other similar accommodations for individuals with disabilities. So between the ADA and the ADEA, you have a legal right to not be discriminated against on the basis of age and or disability in the workplace, and you have a right to a reasonable accommodation. All right, so aging and disability, how it ties together. And here's a quote: aging is just another word for living. That's a great quote. So let me take a sip of water. Okay, so injuries and disabilities that aging adults may face, and that may include, but is not limited to, RSIs, which is a repetitive stress or strain injury. And that could be something like carpal tunnel syndrome or bursitis, tendonitis, epicondylitis, tennis elbows, lateral epicondylitis, which it might be heard of, or other ones as well. Also age-related vision impairments, age-related hearing impairments, age-related cognitive impairments like deficits in memory, concentration, organization, managing stress and emotions, and also motor impairments. But I'm not going to go heavy on a motor impairments today as far as devices, because that's not something that we offer at Maryland TAP. And that's something that should be a evaluation by a seating and positioning professional or a physical therapist of some sort who can actually make the proper recommendation for you as far as what each individual might need. So I don't like to go too much on that stuff, because that should be a direct result of an evaluation for like which direction you should go as far as motor impairments. But anyway, moving forward. So how to combat RSIs. So first of all, what is an RSI? And it's like the name kind of says it. It's a repetitive motion disorder, and that can cause damage to soft tissues by certain repeated physical actions. So these actions are often work related, such as maybe you're typing all day long and are using a mouse, or you have a phone on your shoulder and neck and you're kind of holding the phone to your ear, and certain things like that over time could result in actual physical injury and soft tissue damage. So that's what an RSI is, just in a nutshell. And they're often in the upper body. So survey, let's just see kind of where everyone's at as far as our participants. Has anyone ever had an RSI, a repetitive strain or stress injury? And again, like it could look like carpal tunnel syndrome. It could look like tennis elbow. It could look like a cubital tunnel syndrome or a de Quervain's or a senosing tenosynovitis, trigger finger, mallet finger, swan neck deformity of your fingers. You know, it could take a lot of different forms.
Just a couple more seconds and then I'll close it out.
Perfect. All right, so 2 for 2 on almost even splits. So it looks like 55% has had some type of RSI, and that's the majority. So it's always good to kind of know, just as I get into things, just if our participants, you know, you can actually relate to some of this and if they've endured it before. So awesome. Let's move forward. So first things first, as far as RSIs go, very important considerations are ergonomic positioning and kind of what does that look like? So that might look like this. And I got this photo from the Mayo Foundation for medical and educational and research. So this is just a few things here. And that's the monitor should be, the top of the monitor should be about eye level or a nose level. It should be there. So you're not looking up or down at it, but you're looking more or less straight at it. And that helps keep your neck in more of a neutral position. Your wrists are straight, hands at or below elbow level. So you don't want your hands up high and you don't want them too low either. So the desk should be at a level where your wrists and elbows are at a normal kind of natural position. And also you should adjust the chair height so that your knees are about level with hips. So as you can see, this guy, he's kind of a nice right angle here and a nice right angle here. So the hips, knees, and his feet actually down here, you can see are on a box. So if your desk and chair height are, it's got to be a certain way so that I can be at this desk, then just put a cardboard box underneath your feet. And that can help give you a little more stability there and help elevate your hips and your knees and your ankles and give you a good base of support. So it could be something like cardboard box. It could be something else like a foot massager or something even cooler, but something to rest your feet on could be a good difference. And also just real quickly, just kind of touching on your work setups. So if you are at a desk and are a desk to kind of like computer and typing and phone kind of employment, you should have your stuff set up in different working zones. So all of your certain things that you're always using that are always there, like typing and mousing and maybe writing on a notepad, that should be right in front of you. So that way you don't have to reach too far. You don't have to go out of that primary working zone as much as you would, because that keeps you in a nice, safe and a neutral kind of positioning there. And then next, things like the phone or maybe something else that's kind of not used as much, but still used a good bit, that can be a little bit further. And that way I can still reach it and have my back against the chair. And I don't have to lean forward too much. I don't have to twist and contort in order to reach things. And then stuff that you don't really use very often can go all the way out in your non-working zone. And that's just kind of a good rule of thumb, is to just have things within your very immediate reach, like a keyboard, mouse, notepad, pen. And obviously this is going to look different for everybody. So it's just what's important to you and what you use often should be in your primary working zone. So it might not look like the person next to you. In your secondary working zone, again, it might be different from everybody else's, but maybe a cup of coffee, phone, something like that. But you can still have your back in the chair, your arms can extend, and you can still reach those items. And then a non-working zone, as we said, should be things further away that you might have to stand up to get. Or lean forward, but not as often, to help you not have to move in awkward ways. So let's dive into different ergonomic devices that can be utilized to help someone's workstation be a little bit set up in a more conducive way to avoiding RSIs. So the first thing that I want to go over is the Uplift Desk. And also, as I'm going through this presentation, if anybody wants a copy of this, I'd be happy to send it out. But this has, all these have hyperlinks within them. So like the Uplift Desk text here, I can click on that. It'll take me right to their website and I can get a good look at the Uplift Desk, pricing, etc. But like this is a desk that can raise and lower with a touch screen button. So it's got a little button on the side here that's on the right-hand side of the desk, and that can raise and lower the desk. And it has his monitors right here are mounted to the desk. So it's all going to kind of like raise and lower as one unit. So if you want to stand up at some point during the day, I could raise it up to a standing position. And if I'm in a power wheelchair or just a regular wheelchair, I can raise and lower that so that it fits my needs and where I'm at. And that's a good way to adjust the screen and the desk and to help have you have that good like 90-degree angle with your hips, knees, and to keep your eyes and computer at about eye level. So this is, it can help reduce back pain and things like that if you're able to move around and stand up time to time. And pricing, I try to put pricing options on just a lot of these devices, but this one is a huge variable with how big the desk is and kind of like all that kind of stuff with the desk dimensions. It's going to change the price significantly, just depending on how much you need. Also on the Uplift Desk, we just got one of these. It's not the full desk, but it's a tabletop. It goes on top of a desk, and that still has the like raising and lowering abilities. So it doesn't have to be an entire desk. It could just be that addition, and it has a spot for keyboard. It has a spot for the monitor being mounted, or if it's a laptop, you could just put that right on there, and that can go up and down as well. So it doesn't have to be the entire desk. It could just be something that you sit on top of your desk. So I just want to throw that out there. So also, I talked briefly about telephones and kind of that it's not good to have the phone in your shoulder and neck and kind of keeping it like that. That's begging to have some neck pain and neck injuries there. So what's better is to put your phone on speaker and to have a headset that's set up with that phone that I can talk freely and I can move around and I can be at a neutral position with my cervical area. So just to kind of throw out an option, and there are so many headsets out there, but I just tried to find one that can kind of give you a ballpark. This was $56.59, and that's from Staples, and I even have a link for it right here. That's the Microsoft LifeChat LX 6000. Sounds fancy. So I just want to throw that out there. We don't have a bunch of headsets like this style, but if you have questions about headsets, I'd be happy to talk to you more about them. So anyway, let's get into keyboards. So standard keyboards force you to hold your wrists and arms at stressful angles sometimes. So it's always nice to have your keyboards in nice, neat rows. Everything's all straight, but that keeps your wrists and your elbows maybe at an unnatural position so that I'm able to type on this. And guys like me, I'm 6'4". I have a big wingspan, I have big arms, and I have to type on a computer and kind of put everything nice and just in this area. So it's not always conducive to just a good ergonomic positioning there. So there's something to think about is that it could also assist, according to this study, found that carpal tunnel pressure is influenced by wrist posture during typing and independently by the act of typing. And carpal tunnel pressure is pressure on that carpal tunnel, which is right at your wrist and forearm meeting. And then any pressure on that median nerve can cause numbness and tingling, or paresthesia as it's called. And it can be very painful and lasts a long time. So having a different keyboarding option might help avoid that or help alleviate that if you already have endured that. So that study also found that the use of a split keyboard, which I'll show you in a second, has reduced hand discomfort and pain when compared to subjects using a conventional keyboard. So here's what they look like side by side. Is that on the left, everything's nice and straight, it looks good, but on the right, they have that angle, and that might be a better angle for your wrists, hands, and elbows to actually be at. And an option is so this is one that we do have here. So is the Kinesis Freestyle2. So this is available for loan. I actually loaned this out a good bit, actually, because it's a great way to start with changing your ergonomic setup. And it's $99 on this website, just like you might be able to find cheaper pricing. There's always stuff on eBay, but eBay comes with a risk of it's being used. So you always have to take that in consideration. But $99, and it might help out with carpal tunnel and help reduce that. So an investment might sometimes be a good investment on the basis of it'll keep me not injured. So there's an option there. So next, let's talk about mousing. So vertical mice, it can often help make it easier to operate if maybe a user has any kind of limitations on pronating and kind of keeping that wrist and palm down. That might be an awkward position for some. So it helps keep your forearm and wrist in a more neutral rest position, and that minimizes muscle use. And it avoids that pronation and that rotating of the wrists, and that could help avoid compressing that median nerve, and that's what we said leads to carpal tunnel. And also, as you're mousing regularly, if you don't have like a mouse pad or a wrist pad, I should say, that kind of helps like bounce your wrist out. If you don't have a wrist pad, then it might end up having your wrist just kind of sitting flat on the table or desk. And that over time, just constantly having your hand and wrist just on a flat, hard surface, just moving around, that could be grounds for an RSI developing. So it's just things to think about. So having that hand and wrist in more of a 90-degree kind of neutral position, it kind of keeps the bulk side of that wrist off the table and maybe just the side of your forearm still on the table. It might be a better spot for you. So it's something to think about. And here's one that we do have this model right and left-handed as well. And this is the AirObic Ergonomic Vertical Mouse. And this was $88 I found online, and I have the link there. So that is something that we offer. So just keep a note. If any of this is standing out to you guys, then please reach out to me and I can talk to you more about it and see if you want to try it out yourselves. So anyway, moving forward, let's talk about trackball mice as we're still on mouses or mice. So trackball, why would anyone want to use a trackball mouse? So it can help reduce RSI, buzzword, but it can also help with also reducing your windshield wiper motion. So a mouse, you have to go left to go left. You have to go right to go right. You have to physically move your arm and mouse in order to go that way with the cursor. But the trackball mouse, you don't actually have to move your arm or mouse at all. You just have to wipe that ball or trackball. You have to move that with your thumb or other fingers or however you move it. And that will actually move the cursor for you. So it can help keep your arms and shoulders in more of a neutral position. And most of the movements are going to occur in the thumb or a different combination of fingers. And also, if someone has tremors or shaky hands or unsteady movements, that could be tough as you're also moving a regular mouse. As it shakes, it's going to shake the actual cursor on the screen. But with the trackball, if my hand is shaking, I can still scroll that ball just like with a thumb or some other fingers. And it may help someone be more accurate. And everyone's different. And what makes sense to everybody as far as that kind of thing, it might not all be the same, but it may help someone be more accurate with clicking and choosing things. Because if your hand's shaking, I can just roll that ball instead. And it could help me out with accuracy and those tremors. And if someone gets fatigued easily, and maybe that elbow and wrist and forearm movement of a regular mouse, that might fatigue you more so than scrolling with the thumb. But for someone scrolling with the thumb all day, that might fatigue you more than the alternative. So it's something to think about, but it could be worth a shot or something to try. And also, if you work in a tight space and you don't have a big desk to mouse on, I don't need a huge space to mouse on if I have a trackball mouse. I could do it in any kind of space because I can just scroll that ball anywhere. So I don't need a huge desk. So it's just things to think about there. So there are lots of versions of trackball mice, and here's a few that are in our library. All of these are in our library. So just to give you a couple different options of price comparison, I just noted too, is that the Logitech trackball is about $34. And the big track down here at the bottom right is about $85. And that has a giant yellow ball. So that could be great for a hand motion. If dexterity is not all there, then I can use just more gross motor movements and I can scroll the ball with my hand. And it's got two buttons at the top there. So I have a left click and a right click, and it has a double click as well. So it's just something to think about. Also, the top left there is a smaller version of these other ones, very handheld. It has the green trackball here at the top left. It's got two buttons here at the top for left and right click. And then it has also a finger button here inside for a double click. And yeah, so that's a great device. I really like that one. It was designed by poker players so for someone playing poker for hours on end, could lean back in their chair or whatever it might be. And it's actually proved to be very useful for individuals who have a variety of impairments or disabilities getting on the computer. So that's cool stuff there. So let's move forward to the RollerMouse. And this is nothing like any mouse I've already shown you today. This is a new concept. This is new technology that kind of changes the shape and form of a mouse. I'm going to show you a quick video because it'll be a better demo than me showing you here. But again, it can help assist with reducing RSIs. It's more ergonomic because, as you can see here at the bottom, so this is your mouse, is this roller thing here, and it rolls left to right and it rolls up and down. That's your mouse. And they have buttons here that you can also click on. So it can keep you kind of right at the keyboard instead of having to constantly move your right or left arm out and grabbing the mouse. And this is around $200. I'm going to do a brief video.
Writing's not that easy, but Grammarly can help. This sentence is grammatically correct.
Introducing RollerMouse Red from Contour Design. Computer cursor control has finally evolved. Man's search for greater productivity began with a computer. When paired with the mouse, productivity increased, but at a cost. While designed specifically for the computer, a mouse requires single-handed reaching and gripping. Awkward movements that put stress on the dominant shoulder, forearm, and hand, which can lead to pain and discomfort. RollerMouse Red is different. It was designed for you, the user, not the computer, so you can work in a more natural position with two hands, substantially reducing shoulder, forearm, and hand strain and pain, giving you a more precise control and comfort than with any other mousing device available. With RollerMouse Red, all the control and precision you need to get the job done is placed directly in front of you and your keyboard, right at your fingertips. RollerMouse Red's unique textured roller bar gives you the flexibility to mouse with both hands while maintaining a relaxed posture at the center of your workspace. No reaching or gripping necessary. You can eliminate the need to reach for often used keyboard shortcuts by customizing RollerMouse buttons for all your applications. The RollerMouse Red's unique textured roller bar provides unprecedented accuracy in cursor control, thanks to our 7 senses tracking technology housed inside the bar. A twin-eye laser sensor scans a machined aluminum surface in.
So that is the RollerMouse Red. And as you can see, the guy even said it can keep you in a more relaxed position at the center of your workspace. And that is exactly what we were talking about here with being ergonomic. So yeah, super cool mouse. We actually have this one as well. So if anyone wants to learn out that one, that is also available. And it may have a learning curve that comes with it, but as you practice, you know, as with anything, it could get easier and smoother. So let's switch gears. So that was very much about ergonomic settings and setups. So let's talk about visual impairments in the workplace and certain devices that can help with that. So another survey. Have you ever magnified text in order to read or use a screen reader of any sort? And that might look like a video magnifier. That might help or also look like an OCR device, which I'll get into if you're not sure what that is. Text to speech, handheld magnifiers. It could be low tech, Zoom software, or any other devices that I might not have listed that look like magnification in order to help read and things like that. So I will wait for Lori to, there we go. So I'll give you guys a few seconds here and kind of see where we're at with magnification.
I'll give it another couple seconds and I'll close it.
Okay, we have 31 votes right now out of 46 people. So I know you can do it. All right. So, man, this has been insanely close all day today. So that's another 50-50 split here. So yeah, it's kind of right down the middle there as far as people being more or less familiar with text magnification. So let's, if I can get this to work, move forward. So according to McDonnell and Sui, I may be saying that wrong, 2019 study said that unemployment rates for people with visual impairments range from a low of 4% in 1994 to 95 to a high of 19.8% in 2011. So that's unemployment. So employment rates, on the other hand, range from a low of 36.3% in 2011 to a high of 44.2%. So that's a nice increase there. And these results indicate consistent employment rates for people with visual impairments across time. And the lowest employment rate and highest unemployment rate were recorded following the Great Recession, and these rates have been improving since 2012. So I like to touch on just a few stats and research just to get us started. So as far as visual impairments go, simple steps an employer can make that aren't going to be some crazy amount of spending or device would be just like having a small group or individual tours of the workplace at the time of employee orientation and after workplace changes such as moves or a renovation. So just allowing the employees to have a chance of a tour, showing them individual differences in rooms and hallways and helping them adjust to the space and area. And also helping provide adequate lighting, and not just your workspace, but also entryways, parking areas, hallways, restrooms, common areas, and helping provide orientation tools such as maps and printed directions in the format that employees are able to see and use easily. It could be Braille or just larger text, high contrast. And if permanent changes to walls are problematic, then you could always use a vinyl decal as an alternative. A sticker of some sort could be used. And that could be a form of low-tech AT, is just having certain stickers on the walls to help guide an individual to get to the correct destination. So it could look as simple as that. And also at the bottom here, signs with large high contrast print and tactile letters or symbols or even Braille may help individuals to navigate independently and avoid embarrassing mix-ups in common areas and restrooms. So that just kind of helps set the stage for us. So let's talk about magnification. So these can be low tech, like a classic handheld magnifier that you could see here on the bottom right. And that's the Visomed biconvex handheld magnifier. And that's a 3X just with that specific model, because I have a link there. But with any of these, I would definitely consult with a vision specialist, and I would hear their recommendations before going out and buying some handheld magnifier. Because the chances are there's a certain magnification and certain shape of that lens that's going to be better for you. So I would definitely get that evaluation by a professional. But also it could look like, so not low tech. It could look like over here at the bottom left, it could look like a video magnifier. And this is the Ruby XL HD on the left here. And I have a link in this text. There's a hyperlink built in to a freedomscientific.com. And that's listed at $895. So this starts to get in the the more expensive range. But that's the difference between reading and not reading. You cannot always put a price on that. So a device like this, and also over here, this is a CCTV, the Topaz Easy HD. We also have this in our library and a few different forms of this. So I have a few different companies and brands that we work with. And that is a desktop video magnifier as well. Operates similarly to the Ruby, but this is a much bigger scale over here. But with a bigger screen and magnification comes, it also needs more desk space. So it's bulkier, but it just depends what you're looking for and where you want it to be, because the Ruby is very portable. It could fit in your pocket if you wanted it to. It could go on the go with you, but the screen is only so big. But with these devices, and I'll do a quick demo as I get through some of this, is that you can change the contrast Right here, as you can see, it's got white text on a black background. I could change that and make black text on a white background if that's better. Or I could do maybe blue text on a yellow background or yellow text on a black background. So everyone could be different with what contrast works for them. So that's more of a user preference, really. And so it has that ability to customize that. And you can also zoom in and zoom out pretty significantly on these things. So on the Ruby, I could zoom in so that there's essentially one word showing at a time. And if that's what I need to read that word, then I just have to move it slowly and go word by word. But I could also zoom out and do a whole paragraph at a time. So it just kind of depends. But it has that customization available. And I can also, it has a camera button here at the bottom right. I could take a still frame photo of something. So maybe it's kind of hard to position that on a pill bottle because it's round. So it's easier on a flat piece of paper. But on something just like a pill bottle, I might want to take a still frame photo and then I can kind of move the pill bottle out of the way. It'll keep that photo right there and I can still zoom in and out of it. So that's kind of how that works. And also, as you can see with this lady down here, it's not always for just reading text. I'm going to try to let me get to this really quick so I can show you. There we go. She is actually, she's sewing a button on this thing. So it could help with fine motor skills and maybe doing tasks that require dexterity and a certain level of a visual acuity to be able to see something that's small as a button and needle and thread. So it's just something to keep in mind that it's not always just for reading. It could be used for a number of different things like she's doing right now. And I wanted to enlarge that because it's kind of hard to see down there. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about OCR devices. So OCR stands for Optical Character Recognition. And that refers to a computer's ability to recognize printed letters, numerals, or symbols, which are optical characters. It can recognize them as discrete entities rather than as simply an image containing lines, curves, and shading. So it can actually see those letters, numbers, and symbols and actually compute them into a word. So there's three essential elements to any OCR device, and that could look like scanning, takes a photograph of the text and stores it, creating temporary files containing the text characters and page layout. So that's the scanning. It has a recognition mode that takes account the logical structure of the language. So if it's doing this in English, it'll read a sentence and be able to compute that all these characters and spaces actually are coming together to form words. And then it'll have a synthesizer. So the last part is reading text as a synthesizer in the OCR system that then speaks the recognized text out. And so it has a AI that's in there that can actually talk and speak out to you. So other OCR devices. So here's a few different kind of how that they could look. So OCR devices could look a number of ways. So the first one here is this lady has, which is called the Orcam My Eye. And all three of these devices we have available in our libraries. So just to start with that. And here's a link for all of these is a hyperlinks embedded in these names here. And that goes for about $4,250. So again, these things aren't incredibly cheap, but the important thing about the Orcam My Eye is that it's discrete. So it has a magnet that can attach to the side of glasses. So it has a little magnet with some zip ties, very easy to install. And you just tie that magnet on the side of your glasses, and the Orcam My Eye actually has magnets on it that can just snap right on. It's easy to take on and off. It has a charging battery life. And then all you have to do is how she has one finger on the side there is give it a one good tap. And that kind of tells it, okay, I'm ready. And it'll take, so wherever you're looking with the glasses will point the Orcam in that same direction. So you always know what it's aiming at because it's more or less what your glasses are looking at. And it's over there on the side of your frame. So you might have to take that into consideration. That's a little bit right of you. But irregardless, one tap, it'll take a photograph of whatever's in front of you that you're looking at. And if it's a text sheet, like if it's a piece of paper with words on it, it'll read that out to you. It'll actually take a text and read that out to you. And the cool thing about this one is if your other hand, if you point, if you take a finger and point maybe halfway down the page, like I've already read this first half, now I want to start here, it'll see your finger that's halfway down the page, recognize that as the new starting point, and it'll start at that point. And it also has other modes too. It's not just OCR. It can actually do facial recognition. It can notice people. I could train it with names and adjust it so that it won't just say man in the room. It could say Brian's in the room. So really cool device, extremely versatile and great for OCR needs. So also, so right below it is the OrCam Read. So obviously that's the same company here. And it has the Read is a handheld version of the OrCam MyEye. So it's a little bit bigger, slightly more, I guess, bulky, but it's handheld. It does a lot of the features are similar. And if you press the button down for taking a photo of a document of some sort, it actually has a red light that'll shoot out, and that will show you where it's aiming. So you just point that red light at wherever your starting point is, and it'll be able to read out to you. And then moving forward over here is the Omni Reader. And this is another OCR device that it'll take a photo of whatever document is below it. So I would put a document at the bottom of that device, and it would take a photograph of that document. And then once it does that photograph, it'll actually bring all the words up on its screen. It has a little LCD screen right there. And so as it says, like here, it says, the Omni Reader is a portable scanning and reading solution. It'll have whatever text is reading, it'll pop up right there as well. So I could follow along with it. It's got a play pause button over here on the side. I could pause it. I can change that contrast as I talked about earlier on the Ruby. I can change that contrast from black text or excuse me, white text, black background to a number of different options and so forth. So it's a really cool device. It can also zoom in and zoom out. It has scroll wheels on the side. So I could zoom in and do maybe a couple words at a time instead of that whole paragraph there. So all three of these current devices are all out on loan right now. So I wanted to show them off to you. So I will show some other stuff. So I'm going to do the first demo of the day here. And just bear with me for 1 sec while I turn this thing on, just to kind of show you how this thing works. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Maybe if I can do that. Stop share. Okie doke. So if everyone can see me speaking and pin me to your main focus here. So here is an OCR / magnification a device here. This is the HumanWare Connect 12, and it does a number of different things. So when you first turn it on, it's got a calculator built into it. It also has ebooks, and it has a distance camera that I'll get to in a second, magnifier, picture gallery, settings, and help. So let's go to magnifier. So this is a tablet too. I could actually detach this tablet and I could move that around. So it might be hard to see on the computer, but I would have to raise this up and I would put this underneath of it, right? And then I could have it take a photograph once it focuses. So I would just hold the finger down on it and give it a firm, like 2-second touch. And now I don't need to have that paper underneath of it anymore. I can remove that paper. And now it has all that text. I'm trying to show this off to you. It has all that text is now just here as a photograph. It's a still frame photo, so it has my fingers still over here on the side, but I could zoom in on it too. And now it's going to say, it's talking about delirium. So it can take a photograph and it can start the OCR like that. And then I can always back out. And if I wanted to save this picture as a document, I could save it, put it in my gallery. I could view it later. So if there was medication or a protocol for something, or maybe like a work related document or something that I need to kind of refer to pretty often, I could save that document, and that way I don't have to keep taking a photograph of it. I could just be like, oh, it's right here, saved in my files. So I can also, so like that had the cyan background with black text. So the contrast, I could change that contrast to, it's got a number of contrast settings here. So over here in settings, it's got orange on black, yellow on black, gray on black, and then it's got black on white. So as you can see, it's got a lot of options as far as the contrast. So that's just a user preference there. And this thing, hopefully this distance camera is charged up. I had it on charge. It's got the distance viewing. So that would be this guy right here. I'm going to try to power this on. So it has the distance viewing. That's great for if you're in a classroom or work setting or in a meeting or somewhere that you're back. So I can take this as a distance camera, and now I'm pointing it at myself. I can point it across the room. I can, so like from this tablet, I can point this camera anywhere I like, and I can see pretty well with it. And I'm going to try, I can even zoom in. So that's just the door of the office I'm in right now. So I don't have anything cool to look at, but I could zoom in, I can zoom out, and all that kind of stuff. And it has a little holder spot right here. So I can have it right there with me. I can kind of bend this down if I wanted to. I can turn it any direction like that. So really cool distance camera. And it could change the game for students and employees and anyone in between. So that's a really cool device there. And that's the HumanWare Connect 12. I'm going to show you also really quick. I got a couple other devices out here. So I did mention the Ruby. Here's the Ruby. So it fits pretty much in the palm of my hand, although I have big hands. It's a handheld device. So, and this does, so it can zoom in on things. It might be hard to see at this angle. It's hard to demo virtually sometimes, but just for this preference or for our purposes here, I can change this contrast to now it's black background, white text. I can change it now it's blue background, yellow text. It might be hard to see with the focus. Now it's yellow text, black background. Regardless, I can slide it up and down. I can read different text. And as I was saying earlier, I can take a still frame shot. So I can take a photo like that. Now I can bring it up here and I can still zoom in and out. And I don't have to have the paper there anymore. And then I can just hit that button. Now it's back to live mode. So that's in a nutshell how the Ruby works. It folds down like that. I can turn it off, and it's got a carrying case too. I can put that in my pocket or in the case. It's got a nice long lanyard. I could wear it around my neck even and just have it ready to go. And lastly, as far as blind low vision devices kind of go, here is just like an everyday OCR device. So someone is totally blind and they don't need to kind of have the other parts of the distance camera and seeing the text. Maybe I just need to hear it speak out to me. So this device is called the Magni Link Voice 2. And so it's got some controls over here on the side, but once it's set up, it's got a level, it has an arm like this, so I can swing it down to turn it off. And when it's up like this, it's on and ready to go. I can press this orange button. I don't know if you heard it. It just took a photo. And it's reading in-person meetings. And it's reading this paragraph here. It's probably backwards since the camera's on it. And I can change the volume. I can turn the volume up. I can turn her speed of her talking. I can make her talk. Okay, I'll stop that. I can make her talk faster or slower. So it's got settings there. So that's just just an OCR device, but I can also save documents through that, and I can use the Ruby or the HumanWare, and I'll just we have a lot of options on these kind of things. So it's worth reaching out to us and seeing kind of what our options are, and I can talk to you more about that in person, and we can go from there. So I'm going to share my screen again and keep on rolling here. So that's the HumanWare Connect 12 is the first one, the Ruby, and the Magni link. So moving on. I also just wanted to add this in here that it could be helpful to somebody is a motion sensor auditory alert. So something like the Amazon Echo Flex, which is this device here on the bottom left, it can have this attachment plugged into it here. That's a motion sensor. So if I'm working at a place where it would behoove me to know when someone walks in the room or if someone walks in the store or whatever it might be, I could have a motion sensor alert that can go off, and it could make like a doorbell sound, like ding dong, or it could do, it could flash a light in the room that, oh, as soon as that light's flashing, I now know someone just walked in. Or it could verbally just say, hey, somebody's here. So Alexa devices and smart devices are very customizable with how you would want them to react to a certain stimulus. But I just wanted to throw that in there because it could be helpful to somebody. So also, I just want to briefly touch on some cheaper OC alternatives, or I'm sorry, some cheaper OCR alternatives, because like those devices, as great as they are, come with a price, you know, and it might not always fit for someone to purchase a device like that. So I will get into a couple here, and these are applications or apps. So the first one, Seeing AI, is an app for iOS devices strictly. So if you have a iPhone or iPad or maybe an iPod Touch, something like that operates on up-to-date iOS software, it can do a lot of similar features with just your phone camera. So it could do, it has functions like short text, where if it sees text, it reads it immediately. It doesn't wait. But then it has a mode for documents where I can actually do kind of like what I did earlier, is take a photograph of a document and then it'll treat that as a standalone file, more or less, and then it'll read the document start to finish. So it has that option as well. It's got a barcode scanner, which is really cool. So all just using your like the built-in camera on your phone. So just using that, it can do all these things. As far as a barcode scanner, it can actually scan just about anything. Just a water bottle, it'll say that's Deer Park, or a can of soup. So it could be anything at all. And so it could scan that. It can also recognize people and scenes, so that we always play a game with having it scan us as people. And it'll say like for me, it always goes over my age, but it'll say like 33-year-old male who's looking happy. Or it'll say like a 55-year-old woman who's wearing glasses. So sometimes it'll kind of underestimate age and sometimes it'll overestimate, but it'll usually be in the ballpark. So that's also kind of cool. So it can even do currency readers as well. So it can take a picture of a bill and it could say $1 bill, or hopefully it's a $100 bill, and it could tell you that too. So, and a similar device is the KNFB reader, and that is, so it costs money, so it's not free. So I like Seeing AI a lot. And also the AI stands for artificial intelligence. So it's just like a good way to remember it, Seeing AI. Either way, the KNFB reader, also like a really great app. It works super well, but it's $99.99 for a 2-device activation. So I could have that on my phone and tablet or something like that for $100. And it can do a lot of things. It's multilingual. It can do text to speech, text to braille. It's got multi-page mode on that one. So if I'm reading a book or something that might be 10 pages long, I could take a photo of all 10 of those pages and kind of look at it all together and have it go start to finish and things like that. It's also compatible with the cloud. So I can send documents in the cloud. I can pull them down whenever. So similar but different on those two. And that one's available for iOS, for Android OS, and also Windows 10. So it's more versatile for the different devices. And I just want to kind of also just go over this really quick, is that there is software that can be purchased. So like we at TAP don't loan software, so I cannot do a loan like these, but it's still important to know that this stuff exists and it's out there. So there is Zoom Text Magnifier, and this is software for your computer system. And that could turn your computer into a screen magnification program that enlarges and enhances everything on the computer screen. It makes you just everything easier to see and use. So that exists for $625, and there's variations of the Zoom Text. So it could come with the speech So it has all the same stuff that I just mentioned, but it can also echo your typing and essential program activity, and it can automatically read documents and web pages and emails. So it's not a total screen reader, but it does have some speech involved as far as what I just mentioned. And then JAWS has the full screen reader. And that's a subscription model. So that one's $95 a year, and that provides speech and Braille output for the most popular computer applications on your PC. And it'll help you be able to navigate the internet, or write a document, or read an email, and create presentations from your office or a remote desktop or from home. So even if you were completely blind, and you could use this software and still navigate the computer and do anything that you would normally do. Excuse me. And that it can also be coupled with Zoom text. So maybe it behooves you to have both kind of combined, as the screen magnification and the screen reader software. And having both just really hits the spot and helps you be extremely productive, and helps your pace of work increase. And that's also great. And that one is a little bit more pricey at $2,240. So all these have links built into them as well, as I've said. So if you're more curious about those, you can click on those and find out more information. So also really quick, I'm going to just show you guys that. So actually, I do need to share my screen still. Just get out of this. So you can go down here. I can type in my search bar. I can go to settings, right? And right here is settings. So for Windows computers, it's going to be called ease of access right over here. If you're on Mac or Apple iOS, it's going to be called accessibility. So it's got different names. So the ease of access right here, it's got built-in, it has built-in accessibility features. So it's got a built-in all these different vision things here. So I can make text bigger. I can make my cursor bigger. So I have a tiny little cursor now. I can make it this big, and now I can really see the cursor. That is too big for me. I can also change the color of the cursor. I can make, instead of a white cursor, the black might be easier for me to see, or even right here, it kind of does both. So it's black against white, but it'll turn white against black stuff. Can't find anything really major here, but yeah. And I can also make it a different color. So maybe I can see pink or purple a little bit better, or cyan or a turquoise. So there's options there for customizing your cursor, or I'm sorry, pointer. The cursor is the bar that you type with. So if I'm typing a document, the flashing bar is the cursor, and sometimes it's hard to see. So I could change that thickness, and then, oh, I can see I'm typing here now. So it's got a lot of different things. It's got so it also has a built-in magnifier as well. So if you don't want to spend the money on Zoom text or something like that, I could turn on the built-in magnifier right here, and I could magnify the screen on my own. And there's color filters. I could change contrast. Oof. So now I have this major, I'm not sure if it's showing up on all your guys' screens or not, but everything's black now. So I'm gonna have to turn that off. Yeah, and there's also hearing stuff down here, closed captioning, audio. I could turn on mono audio, and it's got different stuff for your keyboard, mouse. So something to think about is that a lot of devices have these built-in settings. So I would check those first and see if they fit your needs. And then if not, then I would move forward and maybe try out a device. Or maybe both. Have some of those turned on and have a device. So long-winded. So that's what I have for visual impairments on certain devices. And for any kind of like certain device I'm showing today, there are always alternatives. So I'm going to just try to show a few of each kind of like the category, but there's always more out there and other options and cheaper options. So I can help you out and find out other options, or you can always do Google searches or ask your experts, and kind of see what else is out there. And stuff's always being invented and designed, and there's new apps on smartphones and stuff that are always coming out. So there's always something new. So that's why you should always consult the experts and see kind of what's out there. So anyway, moving forward, I have another survey for you guys. So now I'm getting into hearing impairments and just different hearing stuff out there. So how many of us use amplification systems, hearing aids, maybe visual alerts? It could look like an FM system, hearing aid, cochlear implants, sound amplification devices, maybe a visual alert system at home or anything like that. We'll give you all a little bit more time.
Give it a couple more seconds.
Awesome.
I think this poll is going to break our trend.
Yeah, it looks like it. No longer a 50-50 split. So
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the polling.
cool. So that's looking like the overwhelming majority there. No. So interesting. So that did break our streak there for being pretty much even splits. But and then one person said need it but don't know how to get it or use it. I want you to reach out to me when this is over and we can have a talk. But anyway, let's move forward. Interesting. So let's dive right in. So another stat for everybody. This is from the NIH, the National Institute of Health. Approximately 1 in 3 people in the US between ages of 65 and 74 has hearing loss. And nearly a half of those older than 75 also have difficulty hearing. So that's 1 in 3 people in between 65 and 74. And then older than 75, half of those people have difficulty hearing. So just interesting facts. So deaf and hard of hearing accommodations, that's the D/HH. So employees who are hard of hearing may benefit from accommodations to enhance communication. That's the big one, right? So for example, over the telephone or during meetings and trainings. So 2 of the most common strategies for improving telephone related communication are amplification and captioned calls. 2 common strategies. If an employee already uses a hearing aid, it may be possible to use specialized equipment such as a hearing aid compatible headset or Bluetooth technology to connect the sound from the phone to the hearing aid. So it can go straight to the hearing aids or cochlear implants. And the treating audiologist may be able to make target recommendations about what technology would work best with a particular person's hearing aids. So just to kind of dive right in, and so I would like to preface this with MDTAP. We don't do anything with telecommunications because that is the MAT program is the Maryland Accessible Telecommunications, and Maryland Relay, they handle the adaptive telephones. So like they could do an eval and set that up with you and help you find the right choice. But that is out of MDTAP's scope of practice because they do it so well and already do it. It would be a duplication of services. So I always refer people over to them. So that's just an FYI, but I do want to still touch on these things because they're great devices for the workplace. So over here, I have 2 different amplified phones. So it has the boost amplification. It has buttons for that. So I could boost that up. I could hear better. It would increase the decibels coming out of the phone. And you can also, on a lot of these, change the tone as well. So maybe I can hear like a guy like me that has a deeper kind of voice. Maybe that's easier to hear for some. And maybe a higher pitched voice might be harder to understand. So a lot of these phones have the ability to change that tone as well. And I could bring that higher pitch down to more of a deeper tone. And then I could pick it up a little bit easier with my ears. So a couple options there, and it has pricing and links built in just for anyone who's curious about that, just to give you a ballpark. And then, so I talked about amplified phones, but now captioned telephones, they also exist. And a communication is a huge part of working in any job or industry. So here's 2 different phones from CapTel. And I just wanted to kind of showcase a couple of these. So it said like this telephone transcribes everything the other party says into written text using the very latest voice recognition technologies. And that's directly from their website. And The written text appears on a bright, easy to read LCD window built into the CapTel phone. As you can see, they have 2 screens and the text will pop right up. Over here on the right-hand side is the Bluetooth caption phone, similar to the CapTel 840, which is on the left, but this has touchscreen and Bluetooth to allow the user to easily pair maybe a Bluetooth headset or a neck loop or hearing aid or cochlear implant. So I could connect that directly to the phone. So if I have that hearing aid, then I could hear even better having a direct connection to that hearing aid. And for these, the prices I found online were $75 on the left and $99.95 on the right. So also, as a deaf and hard of hearing individual, you have the right to use an interpreter for meetings and communications with others, and that might be in person, and that might be someone on a Zoom meeting. So I would just have that conversation with your employer, and it is your right to have that. So I just want to throw that out there. So let's talk about FM systems. So FM systems are wireless assistive listening devices that enhance the use of hearing aids, cochlear implants, and also can assist people who are hard of hearing but do not wear hearing aids, in particular over distance and also in noisy environments. So a traditional FM system has 2 main parts, a radio transmitter and a radio receiver. The transmitter captures sound via a microphone or a direct connection to a sound source and transmits to the receiver. So 2 parts. So this is a kind of a bad photo here, but I wanted to kind of show different areas someone could use these kind of things. So at the top left here, I'll just go over a couple really quick. She's talking down to a sound transmitter that transmits over here to a receiver that transmits the sound directly to this person's maybe hearing aids or cochlear implants. So I could also use this watching TV. Like this is having the TV sound is directly to this receiver, or I'm sorry, transmitter, sends it to this receiver. That can also pick up this person over here talking as well, and it can go straight into their, again, headphones, hearing aids, or cochlear implants. So I won't go through all these, but that's in a nutshell how they work. So an FM system receiver might look like the Roger neck loop. And this is a universal receiver compatible with any hearing aid or cochlear implant with a T-coil. So if your hearing aid has the T-coil, it can be compatible with that. So it can help you with better speech understanding and noise, and over distance can also help improve the accuracy of automated speech to text software for captioning. So that's a $209 product right here. And there's a link and a hyperlink built into the title. So that's the receiver. So how about sound transmitters? So again, I'm still on Roger here, but here's a really cool one. It's a microphone that's ideal for stationary situations. So maybe I'm at a meeting. I could put this disc right in the center of the table, and anyone speaking, it can pick up that sound and it can transmit it over to my receiver that's maybe right around my neck, and that'll go straight to my hearing aids, cochlear implants, or maybe Bluetooth headset. So it can also automatically selects the person who's talking and seamlessly switches from one talker to another. And it can also transmit the sound of multimedia and TV. So all those kind of devices too. And that's $835. So again, so here's another one, kind of like the Select that we just mentioned in the previous slide. This is the Roger Pen. And we do have the Roger Pen, and we have the Roger neck loop. So we have that kind of stuff here, as well as a couple other devices. But regardless, this is the same kind of thing I just mentioned. It can pick up sound and send it over to my receiver and put it in my hearing aids or cochlear implants. But this is a pen. So maybe a speaker is talking in like the front of the room, and I'm sitting in the back of the room. I could ask him ahead of time, like, hey, you mind putting this in your pocket, like of your shirt pocket, or just hold on to this somewhere that it's kind of like right there, so that as they're talking, it'll pick that up. It'll send that all that noise and talking and communication can get sent from them speaking all the way over to me and in my hearing aids and all. So it's more discreet, and it's a great device there. So I want to get into the Clear Sounds Quattro 4.0, which is a device that we also have that's available. And this It has so it goes around your neck, and like this is great to be used with just regular headphones. You don't have to have hearing aids or cochlear implants. And it's got a microphone, so kind of how the Roger Pen and Roger Select, they have microphones that can be placed in different areas of the room so that you could hear better. This has a similar feature. It's got a disc around her neck here, so I could pop one of those discs off. It'll actually pop off, and that's the transmitter. And I could put that on the desk. I could put that in someone's shirt pocket, which maybe in a shirt pocket, it wouldn't be able to hear too well, but I could put that in different areas so that I could hear it wherever I may be. So really cool device. So also there are sound amplifiers. So this looks like a hearing aid, but it's not. It kind of fits like one, but that's got earbuds that go in your ear, and it kind of fits around your ear, and it can be used right out of the box. It can, and like it has volume adjustments. It's got 3 listening modes to suit your needs, multilingual, and it's got Bluetooth pairing capabilities as well to your iPhone or Android or desktop computer for maybe listening to music or calling someone. And it also has a customizing app that's free that can allow you to customize your hearing settings a little bit more in depth and just like on the app, and that'll change them on your actual hearing aids, but I can change it on the app, and I could be a little bit more direct with equalizing and certain features with a hearing. So that's another cool one. And then another one's called the Super Ear, which is a similar device. But as you can see, she's got headphones on, and she's got this device over here on the kitchen table. That's the Super Ear device, is this device on the table. So it's only $69, and this one over here is $400. So I'm not saying that's cheap, but maybe cheaper than spending like $900 here. So it's just something to think about. But this one is $69.95. And it's a sound amplifier. So it'll take any conversation or sounds transmitted from maybe a speaker nearby, and it can project that right to this the headphones that she's wearing. And this one is battery powered by AAA, and it can help you gain 50 plus decibels, and it can pick up sounds to 100 yards away, and it's a more affordable price. So there's always options, is what I was trying to say earlier. There's plenty of options with any situation. It's just good to know what is out there. And really quick, Square Glow. This is a visual alert system, and there's lots of options for visual alert systems out there, but this is a really cool one. It's easy to install. So as the name implies, there is a square that will flash or glow when there's a alert. So it could be a doorbell going off, and then it'll flash. I can see that. So if I need to know if someone's coming into work or if somebody's outside, there's a client waiting, I could have a doorbell button out front. If they press that button, I can be at my desk, and then it'll start flashing. Oh, I know someone's here. It could also be set up to a smoke or CO2 alarm. So that way, if I don't hear the alarm going off, I could see it flashing. And now I know, okay, and something's wrong and there might be an emergency. I can change the colors too. So if there's a smoke or CO2 alarm, I can make that red. So I know, okay, it's serious. If there's a doorbell, I can make that green, and I can set it up to a phone as well. If the phone's ringing, I can make it flash blue. So I can have a different light for every situation. So I just want to throw that out there. So $259 is the price for a certain package I looked at. It comes with a doorbell transmitter, a phone transmitter, and 2 Square Glow like actual receivers. That's the $259 price. But if you want to just get like 1 receiver and 1 doorbell, it'd be a lot cheaper. So it's got different packages there that are online. So I wanted to touch on that, and I actually have a couple of these devices here with me that I'm going to show you, but I also wanted to show you really quick that there is closed captioning available for Zoom. Is this top bar right here. So we're all on Zoom right now. There's a closed captioning button. So if you just need to read some captioning sometimes, you can turn that on. It's going to be right here as you're on Zoom. And then down here is Google Meets. So as you're on Google Meets, there's also a turn on captions button. So it's just something to be aware of. And really quick, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to show you the Square Glow really quick. So once this is on, so, oh, the camera's not on it. So I would hang this up on my wall somewhere. I have this out of the box today, and I have a doorbell transmitter here. I could have that it has a mounting system. I can mount this anywhere. And if someone presses the doorbell, this is now flashing pink, and it's got the police siren going on, but it has a lot of different options on sounds. So I can make it sound like chimes or something more calming. It's also got, that comes with it, another receiver here. So maybe I'm not by my desk where I have the square glow. I have this that can go on your hip. And it's the same thing. It'll start vibrating that, okay, so now I know this is going off, and maybe I'm in the bathroom or something. So there's also that clip there. And I wanted to show you real fast this is the Clear Sounds Quattro, and it goes around your neck and can connect to headphones and earbuds. You don't need to have hearing aids or cochlear implants for this one. And I can take this off. So I would still wear this part, but I could take off this part. I could put it on a desk. I could sit it around the room, and I could have this pick up the sounds, and it'll transmit that over here. That'll go to my earbuds. So this is a really cool device. It's fairly discreet too. It just goes right around your neck, and it could be a good alternative there. And also really quick, here's the Roger neck loop here. So I could put this around my neck, and here's the Roger pen. So as you can see, it's the size of like a normal pen. I could stick this in my shirt, or maybe someone else that's talking shirt pocket. And then I could transmit that sound to the receiver, and that can go to my hearing aids and or cochlear implants, etc. So just wanted to touch on those devices real fast. And we will keep plugging along here. So, and let's talk about age-related cognitive impairments and what accommodations employers can provide. So this is our last survey of the day as we wrap up here. And do you use any type of cognitive aid? And that could look like calendar, just like certain reminders, calendar reminders, written notes to self, color coding files and tabs, use of highlighters even. It could be any of that.
I'll give this just a few more seconds. We're close to having everybody vote.
Awesome.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and end the poll now.
Okay. So the majority said yes. And I think that's probably a fair analysis, is that we've all used calendars or some kind of reminder from time to time. I have to have them on my phone, or I would miss all kinds of meetings and stuff. So a cognitive aid doesn't have to have this negative stigma to it. It could look like a lot of different things. So cognitive changes are a normal process of aging, and it has been well documented in scientific literature over time. So some cognitive abilities like vocabulary are resilient to brain aging, and they might even improve with age. And other abilities like certain conceptual reasoning, memory, processing speed could also decline gradually over time. And not every individual experiences the same changes. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So just real quick, just memory calendars. So I use a Google Calendar for everything. I put everything in there because I would probably forget otherwise. So it's easy to integrate among laptop, smartphone. I can set up appointments. I can set up reminders. I can even put tasks. I can do individual tasks on my Google Calendar, like do this at noon and then do this at 12:30. And I do that sometimes. So it's also free, and it's great to use if you have Gmail and stuff like that. It can all sync together. But there's other options as well, like Apple Calendar that comes with your iPhones and things like that. And Outlook Calendar is also a pretty popular one, but that one does cost money. But a lot of employers and schools might already have like an Outlook bundle, and they might already have like word processor and PowerPoint, all that kind of stuff, and Outlook. So chances are it might already be paid for. So it's something to think about. Also, you could just use like a dry erase board. And over here is a large one that's pictured as $81. So it's not cheap, but it might be easier to see it physically in front of you. And that's pretty large too. So you should be able to see that And you could do like large print or a Braille appointment book or calendar. And also just pen and paper for as far as like, as far as listing goes for tasks and certain to-do lists. And there's also a smartphone app, and there's all kinds of scheduling apps out there. So like I can talk to you one-on-one and kind of talk about more options, but here's a couple that I found online. Is one's called Todoist, $3 a month, and that can help you plan out your whole workday, plus leisure items, etc. And I have a picture of that on the next slide. And there's a free app for iOS called Remember the Milk To-Do List. So here's Todoist over here. So it's a very comprehensive like to-do schedule. I can have today, the next 7 days, vacation, things I got to do gearing up for vacation. Maybe I need to clean some stuff, my room, my car, work tasks. I could have all these different work tasks. I can have fitness tasks. So it might be a good way for someone to organize right on their phone. So if you don't want to use a calendar or a hard calendar, pen and paper, there are apps. And also, if you have difficulty staying on task, just maybe it could help you to move around a little bit, to squeeze a stress ball, to have a chair, like a ball chair that helps you kind of engage your core, helps keep you focused and active. Standing could help someone, or having something like an exercise peddler underneath your desk to kind of keep moving a little bit during the day. So there are ways to kind of help you just expel energy and stay active. And real quick, I wanted to kind of brush over just again, all the built-in accessibility features. So ease of access over here on the left, that is for your Windows. And then iPhone and Mac has accessibility. And there's all kinds of different stuff in here. So it's worth taking a peek at and seeing maybe certain ways it could help you. That's not just buying a certain device. And then maybe if that doesn't work, then you could always contact us and find out more about what's out there. So I'm going to wrap up here today. I know this is a long one. So thanks everyone for sticking it out. So, and our discussion. So it doesn't matter what your disability or impairment is, or what task you are looking to accomplish. The odds are is that there's AT out there that can assist you. Some of these devices are expensive, and employers could argue that it's not reasonable to spend that amount of money. But however, there are almost always cheaper alternatives to any type of device. And I tried to list multiple options in the PowerPoint, but there are always more out there. There are so many options. So contact me and I can talk about more and other stuff that's out there. So open up this conversation and see what is reasonable. Also, there's always multiple funding options for an individual to purchase AT on their own. So I put a little guide right here, but there's also lots of different funding options for the state of Maryland specifically, and I can talk to you about those as well. And these conversations can be difficult to bring up when interviewing for employment. And that's just a statement. I know it's not always easy to kind of bring these things up. And maybe you're thinking, I can't possibly learn how to use a new device in the workplace. Well, that's when having places like us are here. That's great to kind of lean on. I can offer demos, trainings on any device we have in our library, and I can also loan them out to you. So there's always a way to try things out and have that one-on-one training. So and there's also plenty of videos online. If you Google any device, you'll probably find a video of some guy using it and talking to you about it. And then in conclusion, you are not alone. The aging population, as previously stated, is rapidly growing, and these devices will be commonplace in the work area soon enough. And that is in my opinion. But as we have more people aging and like all these devices that can help these impairments, I mean, I would imagine that every office sooner or later is going to start having certain things like this just kind of built in and already there. And you have the right to a reasonable accommodation. So don't forget that. And age-related impairments are a normal part of aging, and no two people are alike. So just because all these age-related impairments have been documented and researched doesn't mean that's going to apply to you and the person next to you. So also talk to your employer or prospective employer about your needs, and always consult your local experts about what's out there and what could work for you, so that you are better equipped to explain that to your employer or prospective employer about what you need and what's out there. So here is contact info for us. And I can send that out to you guys more directly, but it's address, phone number, email for our general email. And I can open it up to questions really quick while we have a little bit of time left, maybe. And I have references built in here. So if anyone's curious about the research or just want to check on some things, I got a few different references and stuff like that. So anyway, I will stop talking so much and I can stop sharing my screen and we can talk about questions or comments.
I can chime in for just a minute and let folks know that we will send out the PowerPoint to everybody who attended. So we will get that out either the end of the day today or tomorrow morning. So just look for that from us. And it does appear that we have 2 participants who have raised hands. So I think the easiest way to do that is if you can just put your question into the chat or the Q&A, and then we can start addressing those questions for you. So I'm going to kind of scroll through this. There are a couple questions that have been popping up. There was a comment that was provided by Gwendolyn, I believe. It says you don't bring up accommodations during an interview. You only need to say that you can perform the job with or without an accommodation. So that is a great point to make. Thank you.
Yes.
Another question or comment says you provide services for state of Maryland employees. Where can general members of the public go for help? So for anybody, the general public can contact our program and utilize us for any type of assistive technology needs, just so that folks understand we are open to all constituents across the state. In terms of some resources, there may be some that are specific to state employees, but if you're looking for information regarding accommodations, generally speaking, I would point clear and informative information when it comes to sort of employment guidance and so forth. Oh, someone's asking if you could just kind of share that context info page again. We will be sending this PowerPoint out, so you have all of our contact information. So for anybody that is registered for this session, you will get that. I'm gonna pop in.
And someone mentioned that we provide services for state of Maryland employees. I'm not sure, have you already addressed that or not? But any general member of the public can come to us for help. It's not just for state of Maryland employees. This is for anybody in Maryland. This is any Maryland resident who has any kind of impairment or disability can come to us directly. Right. It's an important thing we want to stress is that we are open to all Maryland residents. We serve all age ranges, all disabilities. You do not need to be employed. You do not need to even have a verification of disability. So we can provide services. As long as you're willing to disclose what issues you're experiencing, we can go ahead and provide guidance on the, whatever sorts of AT may help resolve some of those issues. I'm not seeing too many other questions coming in, so I would say if folks do think of something later on, you will have our contact information when we send out the slide deck. You can certainly reach out to us at that point. And anytime you want to reach out to our program, you can visit www.mdtap.org. Okay, we do have 2 folks with their hands raised. I'm going to go ahead and unmute them so they have a chance to ask some questions. Sure.
Helene, you're up first in my list, so I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. And then Maria, you're second, so I'm going to go ahead and unmute you as well. If you have questions, feel free. It looks like they're still muted, even though I've elevated to talking. So if you want to speak, feel free, go ahead. Otherwise, you can always email us your questions. All right, James. Well, this was really helpful. Thank you. It was very insightful. And we will get this information out to all of our participants today. We'll have another session that we're hosting in 2 weeks that focuses more on services and resources. So we do invite you to attend that as well.
Yes, absolutely. I will see everyone hopefully in 2 weeks. And I appreciate everyone being here for this his long presentation today. So I just want to say thank you everyone for sticking it out.
Yep. Thank you guys. Have a great day.